Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending today. My name is Wendy Bray. My name is Wendy Bray, and I have here with me today my co-host, Curtis Brandon, and our speaker for today, Mr. John Manfredonia. And today's topic is going to be Navigating Government Terminations, a Contractor's Guide to FAR Part 49, Small Business Training. Before we get started, I just wanted to provide a few housekeeping notes. I see a few people still joining in. So before we get started, a few housekeeping notes. Any questions that you have, we will address them at the end during the Q&A. Please place all of your questions in the Q&A. We will be monitoring the chat and the Q&A, but it is easier for us during this live session to respond and track our responses to your questions in the Q&A. So also this training will be, it is recorded, and the presentation and the training, the links to them will be provided to you by tomorrow morning. And so I want to make sure I cover all of the housekeeping notes. Oh, also where you can locate the Q&A and the chat. So if you are on your mobile device, if you look over to the right-hand side, you should already be able to see the chat. If you click on the three dots and you click on the second tab that says Advanced, scroll down, that is where the Q&A is. Please input your questions there. We'll still try to respond to your questions in the chat if we're able to track them and see them. Otherwise, I have to respond to them at a later date after this call or after this training session. If you are on if you're on a computer or laptop, if you look to the bottom right-hand side of the screen, click on the three dots, you'll be able to see the chat before you click on the three dots, or if you click on the three dots, you can see the chat and the Q&A. And that's where you'll input your questions into the Q&A. So now I'm going to turn it over to our speaker today, Mr. John Manfredonia. He practices federal government contract law, and he actually started his own practice in 1998. And he represents contractors in claims, bid protests, and contract disputes. He also litigates cases before the various boards of contract appeals, the GAO, and the Court of Federal Claims. And a little personal note or tidbit about Mr. Manfredonia. During the summer, he likes to spend time with his father, gardening and fishing at the beach. So John, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you very much for presenting this topic today.
Thank you, Wendy, for that introduction. And today's D-Day, and I just say thank you to our veterans out there for their service and protecting our freedom. So as Wendy indicated, I'm going to be talking today about the government's right to terminate a contract for convenience. I'll start about talking about that government right. I'll talk about the limits to the government's rights to terminate for convenience. We'll talk about what to do if your contract is terminated for convenience, and some of the important cost and pricing issues that arise when putting together a termination for convenience proposal. I have my presentation slides. I'll be going, through them, and you can follow me that way. And also, I'll be adding a little bit more, when I talk about the slides. Okay. So FAR Part 49 grants the government broad discretion to terminate a contract for convenience when it's in the best interest of the government to do so. Some examples where it may be in the best interest of the government to terminate for convenience would be if the supplies or services are no longer required, the government decides it's going to perform the work in-house instead, or there may be unforeseen changes on the contract after award that, there's change orders that need to be issued to address those unforeseen conditions, and the government doesn't have the required funding to address that, and so they decide it's better to terminate for contract for convenience instead. Again, the government's right to terminate for convenience is very broad. In rare cases, you can challenge that or question the government's right to terminate for convenience, but the courts and boards have imposed a very high standard. They're not going to second guess the government on a termination for convenience unless the contractor can prove that the government decision was driven by bad faith. And bad faith is really hard to prove. You know, it has to be proven by clear and convincing evidence. Now, here's one case I did just as an example where they did find bad faith, where the government contracting officer, after contract award, decided to terminate the contract for convenience because he found another contractor who could do the work for a better price. And the board said, no, you can't do that. You can't terminate a contract for convenience because you found somebody else to do the work at a better price. The government has to honor its contract at the price that it was awarded. And that makes sense because if the government, could terminate for convenience for a better price, that would really turn our procurement, procedures and on its head. So that's one of the rare examples where the government was found to have improperly terminated for convenience. The other issue that can come up, and when this goes to the government's right to terminate for convenience, is where in some cases, and maybe some of you have experienced this, instead of terminating for convenience, the government says, I'm going to use the changes clause to remove or de-scope some of the work. And the government has the right under the changes clause to deduct work, remove work from the contract. And in that scenario, the changes clause states that the government is entitled to a credit for the would-be cost to do the work that's been removed from the contract. Now, in some cases, the contractor might say, well, that's going too far. The government should really terminate the contract for convenience instead of using the changes clause. And that has come up in a couple of cases, termination for convenience versus the changes clause. And this case here that I have on this slide, J.W. Bates in 1962, going way back, the court found that the government should have terminated the contract for convenience instead of using the changes clause to de-scope the work. And the standard or the court came up with was, okay, what's a major or minor variation in the work? If it's a major deduction in the work, then the government should terminate for convenience. This slide continues to talk about, there's another case called Dream Management, a more recent case, 2017, where the government used the changes clause to terminate all the remaining work under the contract. And the board said, no, can't do that. You need to terminate for convenience if you're going to end all further work under the contract. And so in that case, the board found that the government constructively terminated the contract for convenience because that's what they should have done. Now, why would a contractor care whether it's the termination for convenience or the changes clause de-scoping? Well, in some cases, your recovery might be better under a termination for convenience, which is a total cost recovery, versus a de-scoping of the contract under the changes clause, which is where it's the would-be cost to do that de-scope work. So, it's a case-by-case basis as to what the better choice is for the contractor. But the rule, the black letter law here is the government's going to remove a major portion of the work, they should be using the termination for convenience clause. Now, the mechanics of termination for convenience. First thing that's going to happen is the government's going to provide the contractor a written notice of termination. That written notice has to have all the things you see on this slide. And the one important thing is the effective date of the termination. Sometimes the government would say, okay, the termination is immediate or the termination is 30 days from now. So you need to be very aware of what that effective termination date is, because after that effective date, contractor is not supposed to be doing any further work unless the termination is partial, and we'll talk about that. But basically the contract is supposed to stop all work on the effective date of the termination, except that there's a partial termination, do the work that's not been terminated, stop all other work that's been terminated as of the effective date, immediately notify subcontractors and suppliers that the contract has been terminated for convenience so that they don't incur any more costs. The idea here is to mitigate costs once that termination date becomes effective. To inventory materials and equipment that you may have on-site or off-site. And then to start talking settlement discussions with your subcontractors, because now you got to talk with each of your subcontractors. Okay, the contract's been terminated for convenience. What is it going to take to settle out the subcontracts so that I can include that in my proposal as a prime contractor to the government. And that termination for convenience proposal, a prime contractor must submit, has to be submitted within 1 year of the termination, 1 year of the effective date of the termination. So that is an important date to calendar. You don't want to miss that date, because if you miss it, then you could be waiving some of your rights. The FAR does talk about the contracting officer could also give you an extension beyond that 1 year. It's permissible if the contracting officer wants to do it, but typically, 1 year should be enough to get all the cost data and information together to submit your termination for convenience proposal. Now, what are the contractor's duties after receiving that termination for convenience notice? Again, the first thing is to stop work immediately on all the terminated portion of the work. Because if you don't, and you continue to incur costs after the effective date of termination, the government may deny you those costs because you should have stopped work. Or if you ordered materials or equipment after the termination, the government may take the position that you're not entitled to be paid for that because it was done after the termination. Makes sense. You're supposed to immediately advise the TCO, that's a terminating contracting officer, any special circumstance that might prevent stopping the work. If you say, for example, you're putting in a steam line and the trench is open, you want to cover that trench for safety reasons after the termination. So you're saying, contracting officer, we're still doing work here because of safety reasons. We have to cover up that trench after the termination. Take necessary action to preserve materials, equipment, property that the government might have an interest in. As a result of the termination, the government's going to want to know, okay, what materials, equipment, things you have that may have not been used yet, may not have been incorporated into the work yet. And so you got to immediately inventory all of that. It's a good idea to keep good records of that. Photographs if necessary. Your subcontractors and suppliers need to do the same thing. If they have any special equipment or special materials that were manufactured for this project, they want to document all of that so the government is aware, okay, we're terminating for convenience and here's the things that we're going to have to pay for. As I said before, when you're terminated, you still settle outstanding liabilities with your subcontractors or suppliers. And one important point here is that the FAR states that the government has the right to approve those subcontractor settlements. So don't lock up an agreement with your subcontractor until the government approves that. So typically what happens is you're terminated for convenience, you're talking with all your subcontractors, gathering their numbers as to what, how much additional money they now want. And then you're going to present that to the government. And when the government pays the prime, then the prime will pay the sub. And then that's when everything will be finalized and the agreement's locked in. You want to get your releases from your subcontractors upon payment. And so that when they're all is said and done, everybody gets what they're entitled to, and you have a clean final closeout of the contract after the termination for convenience. Here's well, I can see it, but basically this is a sample of a letter that I use that goes to the subcontractors, advising them that, as of this date, The prime contract has been terminated for convenience. The government has decided that it's in the best interest to terminate for convenience, and that's through no fault of the prime contractor. And accordingly, your subcontract is terminated for convenience as well. Now, this assumes that the subcontract has a termination for convenience clause in it, which as a federal government, prime contractor knows, you would always want to flow down termination for convenience provisions into your subcontracts and other provisions in the prime contract that are important. But allowing prime contractor to terminate the subcontract for convenience is very important. So the letter goes on to say that the subcontractor, you're directed to stop all work and then terminate all contracts and purchase orders that you might have in the work subcontractor because we want to mitigate any further costs. And then a letter asks the subcontractor, tell me what your outstanding balance is on your subcontract for material and services provided, including payments that you've received. And that provided confirmation that, apart from what you're telling me now on your outstanding, liability that we owe you, or that you think we owe you, I'm talking as a prime, there are no further liabilities. So lock down the subcontractor basically as to what the subcontractor thinks it is entitled to as a result of this termination for convenience. And then also the letter talks about, provide me that important inventory of remaining materials, tools, parts, components that, are in your custody and control. So this letter serves a couple purposes. One, stop work. Two, tell me how much you think you are owed. And three, inventory of all materials, equipment, supplies that you have. Those are, the vital information that the prime contractor is going to want to know when putting together the main termination for convenience proposal that goes to the government. Now, the way I look at it, termination for convenience clause basically turns the contract into a cost plus contract. In other words, the contractor is going to tell the government how much cost it incurred from day one of the contract until the effective date of the termination. And then contractors entitled to that plus overhead and profit. So when I look at it, the different buckets of costs that I see are, number one, you have the prime contractor's labor. You're going to have the prime contractor's non-labor. The non-labor would include things like the porta potty, if you're in a construction site, the rent a fence, or equipment or materials that prime contractor purchased directly for the project. All of these things go into the prime contractor's non-labor bucket. Then you have the third category are prime contractor's payments to its subcontractors before the termination. So you're going to have all of these, various subcontractors who have been paid prior to the termination. That's going to be the third category of costs from the prime contractor's perspective. And then the fourth category I have here are the settlements with subcontractors after the termination that I just talked about. That's going to also be another category. Here's my settlements with subcontractor A, B, and C. And here's what they, want. We didn't pay them yet, but here's what they want, subject to the government's review and approval. The next category of cost that would be in the termination for convenience proposal are settlement expenses. These would be legal fees, if you have an attorney helping you go through this termination for convenience. Legal fees are recoverable in a termination for convenience proposal. Also, the prime contractor is going to be spending time on during the termination for convenience. And so that's also recoverable. And so it's really important that the contractor, document the time spent managing the termination for convenience. That would include, I would say time sheets or some kind of document that I spent these many hours doing this work. And so you want to document that well. I think it's oftentimes contractors won't do that in real time, and I regret that. So it's important that, I know it's a pain, but, document your time spent administering a termination for convenience, and then you'll be able to ask that that be paid as well. The last category here is request for equitable adjustments and claims. Sometimes, in a termination for convenience proposal, contractor would have a claim for delays, costs, or some other claim or request for additional compensation under the contract. And that can be included in termination for convenience proposal as well. And I'll talk about when that happens, because as I said initially, the termination for convenience is a total cost approach. So that should cover all your costs, including costs that you incurred because of a delay. But if there's not enough money in the contract price to cover all that, then you need to submit a request for equitable adjustment to justify getting more than the contract price. So that's one of the instances where you would want to include a rate or a claim as part of termination for convenience proposal. So once you've calculated all those costs, then you get to apply G&A, and that G&A markup will cover your home office expense. So what I don't have here is your office rent, utilities, administrative staff. That's not billed separately. That's presumed to be part of your G&A. So the G&A rate you would use would be contractor's actual G&A rate, used by, its books and records. Could be 10, 15, 20% or more. It just depends on what the contractor's actual G&A rate is. And then once you calculate all of that, then you're entitled to a reasonable profit on your cost incurred. Now, just as a side note, if the contract is a commercial products and commercial services contract, termination for convenience proposals calculated differently. It's not based on total cost. In a commercial services and commercial products contract, contractor shall be paid a percentage of the contract price of the work performed prior to the termination. So if you have a commercial contract to manufacture 100 widgets, and the government terminates the contract for convenience halfway through it, you'd be entitled to the price of 50 widgets. And there may be a unit price for the contract, and that price for those 50 widgets has nothing to, it's not based on your actual cost. And in fact, the termination for convenience clause, and I cite further here, it specifically says the contractors shall not be required to provide any cost accounting information. The government doesn't have a right to audit the contractor's records. So just keep in mind that the total cost approach does not apply to commercial products and commercial services. That's a different animal. Okay, so what is the standard of review? How much scrutiny must the government, do in reviewing a contractor's termination for convenience proposal? Well, interestingly, the FAR provides some favorable language to the contract. Say, look, I understand that a termination for convenience, that's a no-fault remedy. It's not the contractor's fault. It's not the government's fault. It's just a no-fault situation. Therefore, the goal in a termination for convenience proposal is to fairly compensate the contractor for the work done prior to the termination, and then provide a reasonable amount of profit. And so what I have here on the screen, these are exact words from the FAR that says fair compensation is a matter of judgment and cannot be measured exactly. In any given case, you may use estimates or different other methods to arrive at fair compensation. But most importantly, the use of business judgment as distinguished from strict accounting principle is the heart of the settlement. That language comes right out of the FAR. So it's always good to remind everyone that, hey, we're looking here to resolve this termination for convenience proposal. We need to be fair. We need to use common sense, fair business judgment, as opposed to strict accounting principles. The thought, and that thought continues to go on. It says that cost accounting data may be guides, but are not rigid measures for ascertaining fair compensation. Costs may, in appropriate cases, be estimated, doubtful questions settled by agreement. The amount of record keeping should be kept to a minimum. Again, all of this is designed to provide a scenario where, look, both parties, need to reach a fair resolution. Government doesn't want to pay more than what the contractor is entitled to, and the contractor, needs to be transparent and honest. So here's our cost and what we've incurred, and we need to be paid that plus G&A. So what does this all mean practically? Typically when I look at a termination for a convenience proposal, there are different levels of cost information, right? And by the way, the government can have an auditor come in and look at these costs, especially if it's over $1 million. I think the VA has a regulation or statute that says if we're going to settle for more than $1 million, we have to have one. Got through that recently. So at the very, surface, contractor would have job cost ledgers, documents, ledgers, QuickBooks or some other accounting system that would provide ledgers of, here's our labor costs, here's what we pay our subcontractors, various buckets of costs that I talked about earlier would be reflected in these job cost ledgers. That's the very, first level of information. Then the question becomes, well, how far does the government need to drill down into those documents to substantiate cost? And I would say that, it would be unreasonable for the government to say, I want to cancel a check for every penny. We just looked at the parts, as we're not supposed to do that. And so what typically happens is, the government will look at your job cost ledgers and they may be, randomly select certain items, or maybe there's some big ticket items that they want to look at where they're going to want more information. Okay, show me your subcontract. Show me your purchase orders. Show me that you actually paid this amount through a canceled check or through a wire confirmation, your bank statements, for example. And so there may be some of that given back and forth until the government gets comfortable and says, okay, you know what, your job cost ledger, I tested it. Let's see, that's reasonable. It's a good basis to try to resolve this termination of convenience proposal. Or the government finds, well, your job cost ledgers are not that accurate. I'm finding that there are a number of questions. You're not showing me that you actually spent it. So it just, it's a case-by-case basis. You may have to provide more information in certain instances, but hopefully, your job cost ledgers or documents are fairly accurate. And so it's really important, whether it's a termination for convenience proposal or anything else for that matter, is to try to keep good records of your costs, of your payments during the work as it's being performed, because you never know if it's terminated for convenience or some other issue comes up where you need to resort to your cost records. You'll have those records available. And it's also, I want to go too further, but when you're doing your job cost, I try to organize them and categorize them correctly. For example, you're going to have your home office overhead expenses. That's going to be one category of cost. You want to keep that in one, cost code. And then you'll have your direct cost performing the work, direct labor, direct materials, subcontractors for that particular job, and you'd cost code those costs to that job. So you're not going to be mixing up home office overhead with other costs or vice versa. So do your best in containing accurate cost records throughout the contract. And that would help a long way in resolving a termination for convenience proposal. Profit. So the FAR, the termination says, okay, contractor's entitled to profit on the cost. Well, how much profit can you ask for? It's supposed to be reasonable. And the FAR, talks about about some ways to figure out what profit is. And one way to do it is, what profit would the contractor have made if the contract was not terminated? That's one way. So if the contract wasn't terminated, contractor can show, well, you know what? I was doing really well. I bought out my subs. I was saving money. I would have made a 15%, 20% profit had the contract not been terminated. And so that's the rate I'm going to use. Alternatively, if the contractor could say, well, when I bid this project, I assumed I was going to make a 10% profit. Here, take a look at my bid worksheets. It shows that. And so I would like to use that same profit rate that I used when bidding on this project. Those are two ways to figure out what the proper rate of profit should be when putting together a termination for convenience proposal. Okay, now there's a section in the FAR Part 49 that talks about a loss. If the contractor was going to lose money, had the contract been completed, had the contract not been terminated, the contractor was going to lose money, well, contractor should not be making money if it's terminated for convenience. And so the FAR has a specific formula that's used to figure out whether or not a loss ratio should be applied to a termination for convenience proposal to reflect the fact that the contractor was in a losing contract, he would have lost money. So we're going to reduce his recovery commensurate with that would-be loss. And so here, the formula that's in the FAR is, okay, what's the total contract price? That's your numerator. And your denominator are total cost incurred before contract was terminated and the estimated cost to complete the entire contract. So there's some, projections or estimations there, right? On what it's going to cost to complete the contract. Again, contractors sometimes in their accounting software already have these projections, built into their accounting software. So they may already know at the time they were terminated, they were projected to make money or lose money. So if this example I have, total contract price is $2 million. Contractor incurred $1.5 million before the termination, and the contractor estimates that it's going to cost another $1 million to complete the work had it not been terminated. And if you take that ratio, it comes to 80%. And so 80% of prime contractor's total cost and subcontractor settlements is what's going to be recovered. So you only get 80% of your total cost because you would have lost money if the entire contract would have been terminated. Now the government bears the burden of proving a lost contract. It's not the contractor, it's the government that bears that burden. But it's important to keep this principle in mind, as well as the profit principle that I just talked about, when putting together a termination for convenience proposal. Be aware that there is this adjustment for loss provision that could result in having to give the government a credit for the fact that you would have lost money if the contract wasn't terminated for convenience. Sometimes an issue comes up where contract is terminated for convenience before the contractor even starts work, or the notice to proceed is issued. Let's put it that way, before the notice to proceed is issued. In this case that I have here, M.E. Brown, that's exactly what happened. It was like a construction contract. The government decided to terminate it for convenience even before issuing an NTP. The contract plan specs were, so defective that I would say, it's in our best interest to, let's terminate this contract for convenience and go back to the drawing board and re-solicit this later. Well, in this case, the contractor spent time and money preparing RFIs, visiting the work site. There was asbestos on the site. There was some issues with the specs. And so the contractor was working with the government to figure these things out. And so the board said that the contractor is entitled to those costs, preparing for the new, to start work. And so that's reasonable, it was reasonable. The contractor is entitled to be paid for costs, even though the work did not start. But, RFIs and, that is considered work, I suppose, and you're entitled to get that. What the contractor is not entitled to is bid preparation costs. That comes up occasionally where the contractor says, well, look, I got terminated for convenience before I even started work. I spent $50,000 putting together a proposal for this contract. Well, you're not entitled to that. The logic being is that you're never guaranteed you're going to get a government contract when you prepare a bid. So it's not a cost that you can recover. Okay. I alluded to this earlier. So in a termination for convenience, you're not entitled to be paid more than a contract price. That's like the ceiling. And if you do want to get more than a contract price, you're going to have to justify why. And basically, you're going to have to prove that the government caused an increase in cost, maybe because of delays or the specifications were defective. Whatever the case is, you're going to need to submit a array or a claim to justify being paid more than a contract price. Now, if your termination for convenience is done early in the project, there'll be a lot of cushion, right? There's going to be a lot of money that hasn't been spent that you can recover. But if the contract is terminated for convenience near the end, this may become an issue because now you're looking at you've been paid, say 80% of the contract, and now you want, more than the contract price to finish the work or to get paid for the cost incurred. This is interesting. So defective work, even in a termination for convenience, the contractor is entitled to be paid for defective work. That seems counterintuitive, right? Well, not really. Again, the termination for convenience is a no-fault remedy. And so it would be, if it's a board in a cost recovery, cost reimbursable contract, contractor should be entitled to be paid for cost incurred, even if the work was defective. Now, there is a limit. If the work is grossly deficient, grossly defective, then it's unreasonable and you can't get paid for it. So in a termination for convenience proposal situation, the government might say, well, I'm not going to pay for that sterilizer because, or installation of the sterilizer because you didn't hook it up correctly. Government first equipment, for example. And the contractor said, well, no, it wasn't hooked up correctly, but it wasn't gross negligence. You should pay for that. And so that is a high standard government must show in order to not pay for that defective work. Again, the board doesn't want to get into what's defective, what's not. It says a termination for convenience, no fault, let's get it done. Okay, so the inventory requirement, and again, we talked about that earlier. You need to submit your inventory list to the government within 120 days of the termination. The government, wants to know by then what inventory you have, where it is, what to do with it. And so this form, there's a form 1428 that you would submit in order to document, that inventory. And I have a copy of that form in the slides, which you'll see. Let's see this here. This is an inventory form, and it says, okay, identify, what items you're talking about. how much material you have, what it cost for those materials, and what the contractor is offering for that. So say you have, rolls of wire, electrical wire, and it cost you $100,000. And you're saying to the government, I'll offer you $90,000 to keep that, or government, you take it and give me my 100,000. So contractor's offer is basically, what is the salvage value? And so the government will look at this form and say, well, we'll give the contractor, $90,000 credit. We'd rather not have to hassle with this wire. Or the government might say, well, you know what? We'd rather take the wire than pay the contractor $90,000. We might be able to use that somewhere else. Back to where I was. So here's an example of a termination for convenience proposal. When I'm first starting out is what I discussed earlier was, okay, here are the various components of costs. Contract, ABC company, that's the prime, non-labor, labor, subcontractor costs came to 3.5 million, 10% G&A on top of that, another 10% profit on top of that. So now it's about $4,235,000. And then from there, you calculate, here are the settlement expenses, legal fees. ABC company spent $5,000 of its own time, managing the termination for convenience. Subcontractor settlements for $242,000. Subtotal amount is $4,492,000. And then from there, so okay, prior to the termination, I received $3 million in payments from the government. So the difference now is $1,494,000. That's what the contractor is proposing to the government to settle the termination for convenience. So those are the basic numbers, right, that correspond to what we discussed earlier. And now you need to stick it into this form. I know you might not be able to see it as well where you are, but slides will be made available to everyone afterwards, so you can take a look there. But this is the 1436 form. It's based on a total cost approach. And this is the first page, but you don't actually start there. Where I start is the second page is where under Schedule B, other costs, that's where I stick in the prime contractors, labor, non-labor, and subcontractor payments made prior to the termination. That all goes in Schedule B, other costs. Then from there, on Schedule C, I say, here's the G&A rate that I'm going to apply to those Schedule B items. So that goes into Schedule C, G&A. Then there's a Schedule D, profit, and that's where I identify how much profit I want. So Schedule B, these are my costs. I got Schedule C, this is my G&A. I got Schedule D, this is the profit. And then the third page is the Schedule E, which is the settlement cost, legal fees, and then administering the termination for convenience. That's where the $10,000 to $5,000 show up. Schedule F is important. That's where you say settlements with immediate subcontractors and suppliers. And here I have an example. I have the electrical, mechanical, plumbing subcontractors. This is how much money they want to resolve this termination for convenience. And then under the FAR, we're entitled to 10% G&A and profit on those subcontractor settlements. 10% G&A profit here in Schedule F because for some reason on the first page it don't let me do that. But I cite FAR 49.202C2, which says I can get that. So that's a little misleading with the form, but so then I go back to the first page, and that's where you insert all these numbers that we just talked about. You show the other cost, that's Schedule B, G&A, Schedule C, total cost, then you apply profit, Schedule D, the total cost with G&A and profit are $4,235,000. And from there, the form wants to know, okay, what were your settlement expenses? What were your settlements with your subcontractors? And then from there, you add all that up, that's $4,492,000. And then from there, you subtract what the VA has already, what the government has already paid you, and you come up with the $1,492,000. That's how much the prime contractor is offering to settle this termination for convenience. And then, once you do that, it's time to just talk with the government and try to resolve the T for C, try to come up with a mutually agreeable figure on what the contractor should be paid. And if the parties cannot come to an agreement, contractor and government cannot do so, then the government can issue a unilateral determination, basically a final decision, and that the contractor can then appeal that decision to the Board of Contract Appeals or Court of Federal Claims, what have you. I find that the parties are reasonable. Over 90% of the, termination for convenience, cases should be resolved. There's no reason to go to litigation on it. It's a matter of cost, nobody's fault. The contractor, should be able to prove, what its actual costs are. And, there may be a situation where the contractor maybe inadvertently doubled it, maybe a cost appeared twice, make those adjustments where, reasonable, so that, you can reach an agreement with the government and resolve the matter. So I thank everybody for participating. And on these slides I have, on the resources, these are links to all the forms that you would need to use in a termination for convenience. So, feel free to, click on those and, explore what those forms look like. And some of them have instructions. And that's it. So Wendy, I turn it over to you. Do we have any questions?
Thank you, John. Yes, we do have a few questions. The first one is, the government has stopped funding one of our contracts in the middle of an option year, but has not actually terminated it. The contracting officer and CS will not respond to our request for them to terminate the contract so we can claim these costs. Are they allowed to do this? And do you have any advice on how to get them to terminate the contract so we can recoup our costs?
Okay, well, first of all, this presentation, nothing constitutes legal advice. If you need, legal advice, you should consult an attorney of your own. In your situation, when the government exercises an option, it's sort of different than a TPC, but the government exercises an option, it must have funding available to do that. And in the FAR, section that governs options, talks about that the government must have funding when exercising the option. So I don't know why, the government doesn't have funding, as you allege, but there should be funding. And if the government doesn't have funding, then the contractor would take the position that the option is not fully exercised.
Thank you. The next question, can a notice of termination be in an email form, or would it need to be an agency letterhead citing the FAR?
It can be in an email form. I've seen that. Usually it's a letter, but it can be an email. It should be from the contracting officer. Okay.
The next question, are government primes also subject to these TFC rules? I'm thinking of corporates with multi-year, multi-billion-dollar contracts to run government sites. I have an SDVOSB that had a contract terminated by a prime, and they won't pay our settlement request.
Well, the prime contractor, should be paying for those settlement costs. That would be dictated, in the subcontract that you have with the prime contractor. That I'm assuming so that the prime contract terminated for convenience also, but yeah, that's more of a private issue between the subcontractor and the prime. But if the termination for convenience clauses flow down to the subcontract, which it normally is, subcontractor would be entitled to, submit a proposal, just like the prime contractor would.
The next question, are there any special concerns for DoD agencies that use the DFAR versus the FAR?
Well, when it comes to termination for convenience, they parallel each other. I don't know of any, special rule where the DoD, is different. These FAR provisions that I talk about would apply to DoD. But, the DFARs, there's DFARs that supplement the FAR. I don't know any material difference between the two when it comes to terminating for convenience. The principles are both the same.
The next question is, what differences come into play on a TFC on a TM contract with a significant amount of preparatory costs and only a fraction of the contract completed, not nearly enough to recover costs?
Well, I think that's similar to the case I mentioned where contract was terminated early and the board said that preparatory work is compensable. So you would have to prove that this preparatory work that was performed was reasonable and that the government should pay that as part of the termination for convenience. Next.
I may have missed it, but shouldn't a similar terminator letter and or modification come from the CO?
So what, I don't know what they mean by similar letter.
Elton, if you're still on the call, if you're able to clarify your question.
Is that the one that the subcontractor?
I believe when they came in or when they asked this question, it was when you were speaking about what primes or the contractor should do in terms of the termination letter. I don't think that they heard when you mentioned about the CO, a termination letter coming from the contracting officer.
Well, okay, well, the mechanics of it is the contracting officer can issue a termination notice. Everybody knows that. And then once the prime contractor gets that, prime contractor needs to turn around and then inform the subcontractor, your contract is terminated for convenience. And all communications, will generally be between the prime contractor and the subcontractor. Now, the FAR does say in certain circumstances that if the prime contractor is having a hard time resolving the matter with the subcontractor, the government can step in and negotiate directly with the subcontractor. The FAR, and usually that's not the case. Usually the government, it doesn't want to deal with subcontractors. But in certain circumstances, the FAR does say the government can step in and try to help and deal with the subcontractor. So typically speaking, all the communications of the T4C will be between the prime and the subcontractor, but in certain instances, the government can come in and also assist. I don't know if that answered your question fairly well, but next.
Thank you. The next question, can the government avoid a termination for convenience by demanding either an 8A contract novation to another company or threatening termination for cause if the novation is not accepted?
That doesn't sound right to me, no. There are, situations where the government says, look, contractor, I think, the contract should be terminated for default. And there's a legitimate dispute. The government could be right, the contractor could be, I don't know. But if there's a legitimate dispute over, whether or not the contract should be terminated for default, possible settlement is to convert it into a termination for convenience, a no-cost termination for convenience as a settlement. So yes, in certain circumstances, the parties could say, let's T for C rather than getting into a debate over termination for default. But the contractor, or excuse me, the contracting officer, I think it's not proper to threaten a default in order to get a termination for convenience. And there has to be grounds to terminate for default first. So, and then to threaten novation, that doesn't seem reasonable to me. I've never had that happen before, but. Next.
Could the firm request that the agency accept a higher G&A And if so, under what reasons?
So your G&A rate is going to be based on your actual G&A rate. A lot of times, I see contractors say, well, I'll just use my 10% or 20%. That's not a real number. You should be able to calculate what your actual G&A rate is based on your home office costs and the revenue that's coming in the door. So I always tell, my clients to go ahead, if you don't know already, calculate that actual G&A rate. It could be 16%, it could be 17%, it could be more than that. So calculate your actual G&A rate and use that. So it's not a matter of a higher rate or a lower rate, it's a matter of using your actual rate.
And I think this is the last question. It's a follow-up to the question that said, is there a way to determine if the government primes are subject to TFC rules? They added on that the prime spends government money directly from government accounts if that helps. These are Department of Energy primes that run Department of Energy sites on a 5+ year management and operating contract.
Well, you would have to, I would say yes. I mean, you have to get your hands on the prime contract. That's not being disclosed, but I would say, the Department of Energy, they're a federal agency, they're subject to FAR like anybody else, and so they would be subject to the termination of the convenience rules.
Okay, I see we have one more question that was in the chat. I have an IQID contract and the agency CO cannot find my contract, will not complete the purchase. I did send my copy of the CO. How should I proceed?
Well, that's an IDIQ contract, I think, so it's a requirement contract. So that, in an IDIQ contract, it depends on what it is. I mean, the government, it could have a minimum quantity, which is not much, and the government's obligation is to only order the minimum. Or if it's a requirements contract, the government must, buy all of these requirements from this specific contractor. And if it doesn't, that could be, considered a improper. It's not directly related to the termination of convenience discussion, but you have to look at the contract itself, the IDIQ language, to see what the minimum quantity might be and whether that applies to the space and option periods and so on. So that's really, I'd have to look into the contract.
Thank you, John. And for that last question concerning the IDIQ and the contracting officer, if that is with the Department of Veteran Affairs, please send an email to the OSDBU office so that we can identify if we can be able to assist you. I saw that there were a few questions concerning the presentation. The presentation, a link to the presentation and to this recording will be provided to everyone by tomorrow morning. So you will receive an email to the email address that you registered with. That is all the questions that we have today, and I see that we have 1 minute left. John, again, I want to thank you for presenting this topic today and providing this information to the small business community. And for every business that is on the call today, I want to thank you for joining, and I hope everyone have a good rest of your Thursday.
Thank you very much, Wendy. It was my pleasure.